Hey, what's up? It's Jake, and in this video, I'm going to go over statements and expressions and using the Walrus Operator, which is a super fun thing to say. So first, let's just kind of go between the difference between a statement and an expression. So a statement is like um, a suite or a block of code. Like if I said A is a list of numbers 1, 2, 3, and then I made some sort of for I in A, um, if I less than 3, print I, something like that. So this is a statement because I'm not actually assigning a value to something and think, right? I'm just kind of like going through code, and this would be a block of code, also known as a suite. And a statement is, by definition, either an expression or one of several constructs with a keyword like if, while, for, etc. Whereas an expression, on the other hand, is a piece of syntax that can be evaluated to some value. So this is an expression. This is a statement. If you have an accumulation of expression elements like literals, names, attributes, operators, function calls, etc., anything that returns a value, that's a statement. Or I'm sorry, an expression, because you're expressing that value in some sort of obfuscated way. I'm expressing the values 1, 2, 3 in the form of a list, which is expressed or represented with the variable a. Whereas in the suite that I have for a and I, if I less than 3, print I, I'm not actually expressing a value. I am merely just kind of evaluating um, the values within the expression. Um, I think you might get that. So statement, expression. Okay. Um, so just remember the key distinguishing feature or featuristic of an expression is that it has a return value. Um, so now let's talk about the Walrus operator. So without assignment expressions, you'd basically have two separate statements, and if you want to bind a value to a name, to use that value for expression. So it's quite common to see things like remainder equals some value modulo some modulus. Okay, and then you'd say something like if the remainder, if you do have a remainder, then print you know, not divisible, the remainder is, and then whatever the remainder is, something like that. Okay. So with assignment expressions, you could rewrite this. With assignment expressions, it would look something more like if remainder colon equals value modulus, whatever the modulus is. So this is called the walrus operator because it looks like the eyes and the tusk of the walrus operator. Um, and I could just print some just to make this the same. So this is a little bit different. So it looks kind of the same, right? So if remainder colon, which is what you would do here, equals value modulus. So I'm kind of combining these two things. The assignment expression allows us to write fewer lines of code, which is nice, right? It can also lead to cleaner, more understandable code. But if you get into bigger patterns, it can sometimes cause a problem. Okay, so let's do a bigger pattern here. And let's say I have some flavors of something, right? Like vanilla, chocolate, etc. And let's just pretend I have a bunch, right? Chocolate. Um, and I have a whole bunch of flavors. We'll say it's like ice cream or something like that. And then I want to do a prompt and then say choose your flavor, something like that. And then I'm going to print all the flavors and then say while true, so basically until something is not true, which is always, so just do a while true is like an infinite loop. Choice equals input prompt, and then we'll say if choice in flavors break. So if they choose something that's something we have, then break. And then print, if not, then print, sorry, whatever their choice is. Okay, whatever the choice is not a valid option, something like that. And we want to move this over here. Okay, and then if it gets out of all that, then we'll just print if you chose, and then whatever the choice is, something like that. Another one of these here, like that. You chose whatever flavor. So read this code really carefully. Notice the condition on the loop while true means loop forever, which I talked about. It's not really what you want, right? You want to stop looping when the user inputs a valid flavor, like whatever choice in flavors. To achieve that, I use an if statement and a break inside of the loop. The logic to control the loop's not actually immediately obvious, but in spite of that, it's actually quite a common pattern when the value needed to control the loop can only be obtained inside the loop. So how could we improve this? So let's go with an improved version. And the improved version would still, give us some flavors, right? All right, so let's take some flavors. And from here, I still want the prompt. And then I still want to print flavors. And then after that, I'm going to say while, and then instead of while true, I'm going to say while choice equals input prompt not in flavors, then do something, and we'll print sorry, this is not a valid option, right? And then if it is in there, it will break out of that, and we'll say you chose whatever. So you see, this is a lot shorter than all of this. It may not be as obvious, which is kind of getting into the whole should you use the Walrus operator? And this is something that's relatively new in the last few years. Some people think it's ugly and not Pythonic. In some ways, that's not true because the idea of simplifying the code to make it more readable or whatever is Pythonic, but you should use this extremely sparingly. It can improve your code and make it easier to read. That is true. But it does obfuscate things a little bit, kind of like blur them in a way that could be less than understandable to someone who's reading your code. So just use it sparingly. Just always, when you're writing code, think about how this might impact the readability of your code. Okay, so anyways, so that's all about using the Walrus operator and a little bit of difference between statements and expressions. So if you have questions, let me know. And if not, then we're going to go ahead and get almost wrapped up here.